All right, so I am calling this meeting to order for the very last time at 6:36 PM. This meeting is being recorded by committee chairs. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Seeing none. The purpose of this meeting is to prepare agendas for subcommittees for council consideration. No discussion or comments will be entertained unless requested upon by the committee chairs. Can we get a roll call, please?
Okay. Even though I've murdered what this looks like, but former President Sheila Gilmore.
Sheila is here.
Former Vice President Gwen.
He's here.
Former Councilor Forgy.
Wait,
But you're still a counselor. Councilor Forgy.
Should be former mayor.
Yeah, former mayor. Councilor Allen.
Here.
Councilor Ricketts.
Here.
Councilor Disorder.
Here.
And I don't think you were.
I'm
on the
just
committee
here
chair,
for
she's
fun.
just here for-
It's role play.
Different definitions of fun, but we'll go with yours.
This will make her jump into it.
Yeah.
I want to be chair.
There is a quorum.
great.
Okay.
All right, so I don't know how we want to go to this.
No,
So
you just take over like it's,
Okay.
like I'm just the A&O chair. at
I'll
this
train you.
moment. Yes, I'll learn from a master, yes.
okay, so under President's notes, first thing we have is the return to in-person hybrid subcommittee meetings. Since there is a leadership change afoot, maybe we don't talk about that tonight, and we let the new leadership talk about it.
Yeah, I think once we get new chairs and we'll get those process, we can do that.
Great. All right, status with documentation on sidewalk ordinance. I happen to know that there is no documentation, at least as of yesterday, correct?
Right, well, I'm withdrawing that.
You're gonna withdraw that?
I am. I haven't received any answers. I'm just going to take it off.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that's gonna be withdrawn. Update on governing entity with the authority to approve, Community Preservation Committee. I don't think I've seen anything new. So that should probably stay until something comes up.
There's a couple of meetings scheduled to hear presentations.
For the-
Right, yeah, but I don't think like anything finalized,
No.
right? Yeah.
Requests and such.
Yeah, they've scheduled, everybody's got one.
Preservation.
All right, so then there's the Mayor's Task Force Against Domestic Violence, which I will say to you as part of the pass down, we've sent out a few emails asking for volunteers. It's a tough one because it's in the middle of the day. We don't have a lot of people who are able to attend at that time. Then Caitlin, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would love to have a conversation about accepting that position. But, I mean, I won't say right now I will do it. I would like to have a
Welcome.
conversation.
Okay.
Since she started it.
It's no longer necessary, but just, Yeah.
We can have that conversation, but I think it would be wonderful to
yeah.
Counselor Forgy in that position.
So for the record, just so it goes down in history in our minutes and the information doesn't get lost. If we don't have a volunteer, what I was supposed to do was just pick someone, except I found that out so late and I felt like I knew I wasn't gonna run for council president again at that point, so I didn't feel like that would be.
I might pick someone right off the bat.
Council appointment to, no, that's the other one. Approve payment for Egan, Flanagan and Cohen PC invoice of $10,507. It's gonna be Ways and Means. Appropriate $100,000 from OPEB stabilization to OPEB trust. It's also gonna be Ways and Means. Reconsideration of vote on FY 23-076 for the French King Highway. If it was me, I would say this can go straight back to full council.
Yes.
Subcommittee.
Considerations usually.
Reconsideration, yeah, right. to-
Yeah,
right.
full council, I prefer not to, yeah.
Right.
I would say somewhere near the top of the agenda because it's kind of old business, new business. You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be lengthy.
Yeah, let's start
Yes,
near the top.
Right, EDC will be Tuesday the 10th. And so there's gonna be a public hearing for Verde Drive, phase 2. Yes.
So the process to accept a road. The council has voted their intention to consider laying it out. It has been forwarded to the planning board. The planning board has 45 days after it receives the referral to make a report. This cheat sheet of Mass General Law, so on and so forth, does not say that the planning board needs to have a public hearing. However, what it does say is that the council, EDC, needs to receive a recommendation from planning within those 45 days, which is February 21st, before the council, EDC, can hold a public hearing and make a recommendation. So there's a timeline that we just, fill in the blanks. So we can't schedule a public hearing for EDC until either recommendation is forwarded from planning board or the 45th day has elapsed,
And that's February 21st.
February 21st.
So we'll just leave it open until,
Yeah, we haven't heard from the planning board,
Right,
so
it just.
So are we
was
leaving
just
it
sent to
on
them.
there in case they do submit something?
we'll, sure.
Or,
And if they don't, we might not need a meeting.
by
okay,
February 21st, then you have to do your step.
Yeah.
unless you want to do the bike lane.
Isn't it if it doesn't come to EDC and they don't come to us in 45 days, doesn't it happen automatically?
The acceptance of the road? No,
It has to be.
it has to,
It has to come to council. So
Okay.
failure by the planning board to make a recommendation will be considered as no opposition to the acceptance of the road as a public way.
So,
After receipt of the planning board recommendation or after 45 days has elapsed with no recommendation, the city council shall hold a public hearing.
that's,
February 21st is the 45th day.
okay.
So, Bill, at this point, if you don't hear by the 21st, then you can schedule a meeting. If you happen to hear one before, then you can schedule your meeting sooner.
Got it.
But we'll leave it on here because
It's good to ask them too.
Sounds good. Do we want to leave on the parking and bike lane discussion, or do you want to just take that off and not have a meeting if this doesn't go through?
I think not have a meeting if it doesn't go through would be my preference, but
Yeah, maybe start with fresh faces, right?
So we say no EDC in January because the 10th is next week.
Well, I think we're holding the date on the off chance.
we hear from the planning board.
Okay,
so within,
But then we'd have to have a public hearing that day.
you can't.
you can't.
Right, you have to,
I don't need a meeting.
Got it, okay.
Because the public hearing has to be
right.
In the paper.
published in so many and 3 places.
So no EDC. I mean, yeah, no
Cancel
EDC. in January.
EDC.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so A&O is going to be on Wednesday, the 11th. There are rules of procedure. No, just rules of procedure.
If it's only rules of procedure, I think Marianne would join me in saying we probably don't need a meeting in January if it's only rules of procedure piece. So, and I'll talk to the new chair by then and see where we're at. So no meeting for, that's why January is the good transition month normally, because we're usually catching up and such, except Ways and Means never sleep. Go ahead.
Also needed to make appointments because the 5-day rule was like 5 seconds after the last council meeting.
Yeah.
It was the next day.
Walk out the door, boom, there we are. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, community relations will be on the 16th. Well, no, that's a holiday. I don't see agenda items, so,
I'm going, I don't know if I'm gonna be chair, I don't know what the.
well, for January you are.
Yeah, you are.
So I'll cancel it because I know that the mayor and I were gonna be holding public forums at CRE each month, but I don't know if I'll still be it starting in February, so
Okay, and it's a holiday anyway, so then we don't have to worry about rescheduling.
perfect. All
All
right,
right, Ways and Means is probably not so lucky.
Well, we could do, bring everything out to council floor and do like we did before in our December meeting and have a full council discussion.
perfect.
How many items do we have? Just,
We have transfer and appropriate, we have a repurpose, and then we have to approve a prior year. No, it's not a prior year.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it is a prior year, sorry. And then there's also an appropriate. And then the home rule petition for compensating reimbursement of schools.
We already, didn't we already?
I believe, I mean, according to what I last heard, I believe that this money, and I'm not sure, that there is some money that has, or some arrangement where this is going to be considered at this point, but still, there's a change in the government at the State House level, and there's still a lot of things that are at play. So I'm thinking this shouldn't be on this agenda, but maybe carry it forward to the February agenda.
Make that determination and then we.
Yeah, we can do that, and everything else is money, and I think we can discuss that openly on council.
Is there any thought, because February will be my deal, is there any thought in bringing all these to the council floor? Any objection from any of you?
No,
That we just take them
I
on the
think
council
that's
floor and from the city end of it? No problems with this? Go ahead. Let's move them all to council
So
floor.
the three financial pieces are going to the council
Full
for
council floor.
discussion and staying under discussion.
Yes. And all the three financial pieces will go to council, be presented at council with no recommendation.
When you're done taking your notes,
Wow,
give us
yeah.
the city clerk report.
You want notes?
No, I've got them all on the phone. So there was an email that came in after the 5-day rule from the mayor, asking that Chief Hay and Lieutenant Dodge, thank you, be able to attend the council meeting and make a mid-year report on GPD operations, staffing. The email was sent out to everyone, I think around Wednesday, December 28th. And we wanted to find out if it was acceptable to put them on the agenda under departments asked to be at the meeting.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like it should be up to me to respond to that, so.
I mean, we have had a lot of discussion about the police department. Chief Staff Lieutenant, did you have?
I think, so the goal of this is, although, you know, obviously with the police department coming, it could go any direction, but the goal of this was to kind of give an update of where they are mid-year, knowing that the budget was amended and cut back in May, and people have been asking, like, are they gonna need a supplemental, what are they doing? Do we have to lay people off? Are people retiring? All that. So he's working with our finance director to help make that presentation. And because Lieutenant Dodge is kind of the next in command now, supervisor staff, besides CC Gordon, and he is good with budgets as well, and they want to do it together. But also, I think there's a bit of a unifying situation there.
Councilor Forgy, you know, there's a lot of financial pieces to this. Thoughts that this is a good time for them to update us?
Well, you know, now that we're rethinking everything and we're moving in there's different moving pieces at this point. We always used to talk about the fact that the Ways and Means Committee would hear person speak or the group speak, and then 24 hours later, the same group would come to the meeting and speak again. So following that sort of initiative piece, take it out to council floor.
Thank you.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
because it makes no sense.
I'm just wondering, will they be open to questions?
Yeah. I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And, you know, it does say in the charter that if we're in a deficit situation in a large department like that, we are required to update the council on this. So this is in lieu of a written memo, this is gonna be that.
Great.
Councilor DeSorbo.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had had your hit.
Oh, no, I think that's great. I think it's fine. I'd love to welcome him, but I would ask if we could have in written format now, the grant information, the COPS grant. That we-
Yes, they'll be bringing that as well. That'll go.
But I mean, I'd like to ask that we get it so that we can read it ahead of time, so that everybody would have it 48 hours ahead of time.
Right, and then if people do have questions, they have, you know.
They have a written
Yeah.
something to look at.
I would just, with any department, once you come before the council and you open the door, you're in our house.
I know.
And then we're going to ask questions.
Yep.
And in that, I can't really say, tonight we can only talk about the financial aspects of the police department because that's not really in our scope of how things are done. So,
We're not mature enough.
yeah, so.
That is completely understood.
Okay, that's all. I just I don't want it to feel like a setup or an attack or anything like that. Because I don't like that style, but I could just see there's going to be questions as Counselor Elmer just
Chief's
asked.
idea too, so.
Perfect. I have no objection. I just wanted your input.
Yeah.
So invite them to speak. But as Counselor DeSorger said, if the financial pieces had some documentation that go to Ways and Means and the full council beforehand, especially with funding and dissemination of grants, that stuff is vital for us to, once again, as Counselor Rick had said in the other piece, anytime we can get educated on where funding is coming from or going, it helps.
Wait, you guys aren't meeting though, Ways and Means?
No, we're just asking for it to go to
Full council,
Send it.
to go to full council.
I know what 48 hours, because we're.
full council.
Thank you.
All right, so the draft meeting will have the French King Highway, the reconsideration on there first. And then all the financials, some.
Right. And I don't think we have anything else
Oh, good.
on the agenda.
That's good.
There's some first readings and those will be done accordingly.
Yeah.
There's,
Wow, that's really good.
I'll give you some ordinances in February, don't worry.
thanks.
Sorry, you won't be an anymore.
I'll watch from afar.
All right.
All right, any questions, comments?
Motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry.
I would like, just to throw out there, it'll probably be a no, but starting in February, I'd like one of two things, either public comment toward the end of the meeting, the way it used to be, or that we have a council meeting with public comment 1 week, and the next week, we have our regular council meeting with voting on everything.
I think that's a rule of procedure change, which is more
Yeah.
formal than that. I think,
We used to do that in council.
yeah, no, I remember, but
Yeah.
it would just take more than us deciding it it would be a
All right.
rule of procedure. One of my thoughts, and looking at the same thing that you just said, and I just want everyone to kind of think of it, was I thought, what if we did something with public comment? And this is just an idea, not a policy. My idea was we almost split it into two at our own meeting. And that is anything that's on the agenda that evening, we take where it is now. Then once we're done with our piece, anything coming forward that's not on the agenda, we bring back to public comment. So that way, if someone's there to talk about the teachers and we're going to be voting on the budget, or they're talking before we get to it. Because the negative, and it was never done this way when I was on council before, you know that, Penny. It was always done after. But some people would say, I came all the way to this meeting and what am I doing here? You already voted on it. So I'm wasting my time. And we'd say, well, you should have come to the meeting before. Well, sometimes the meeting before, to be all honest, it wasn't even posted. So people didn't know what was happening. But I almost am looking, and this is just theory, not policy, but I was thinking if we had something like public comment tonight's agenda at 7, whatever, and then public comment general
After we do our business.
after business.
Perfect. I like that idea.
And that way, if people really have, and then what that can do for us is if someone brings something up and council, and this is just theory, please, this is not, then someone says, well, I'd like to find out about, what's happening with this. We can then leave that meeting and do our homework to come back and have it for the next agenda or the next thing. So it gives us time to act on stuff without, and it just opens our meeting where we get to our core quicker. But if someone is so passionate that they want to talk to us about something that's not on the agenda, because we do have some people that are talking to us regularly about very important issues, whether it's the homeless population or but they could talk to us there. And if our meeting moves quicker, they're not going to be there till 10 o'clock at night,
Right.
waiting to come back on, because we wouldn't have spent 3 hours in the beginning, or 2 hours. So just think about it.
I think it's worth it.
It's worth some, and I'm open to tweaks and thoughts, but I was trying to look at a way where we could get to business quicker, but I don't want to discourage community from speaking to us, because that's the
Yeah, but I think the
reverse of what we
people
do.
need to be heard of what we're voting on that night. I think.
Oh, yeah, I
Really,
think
really-
that has to happen. That was the good piece that you all
That's
changed.
very important.
I hated the idea because I stopped it when I was president the first time from swapping it out and putting it where you have it now. But it makes sense in that if something is on the agenda, it doesn't do anyone good talk about it after we're done.
Right, and
Councilor
yes,
So that will be something that's it's a rules of procedure that we're gonna be looking at.
Oh, yeah, this is,
A change, because I actually looked to see what different municipalities did, and some of them did have a time limit. They had like a half an hour that they had for public comment. Some of them had it that they did just have whatever was on the agenda, they decided, but there is a part of me that feels like that will stifle public comment a little bit. So I'm glad, as long as it's up for discussion.
yeah, and that's why I looked into the same thing you did, and I saw where people only allow public discussion on agenda items. But I think that's not necessarily good, because I think that's where you get discussion for future, is from your public telling you or bringing things to us that they're not happy with or they're concerned with. But if it was later on the agenda, we're not stifling them. They still can zoom in and tell us, and then counselors can react. So this is just theory. We have plenty of time. I just wanted to throw a different
Right.
idea out there.
yeah, 'cause I know when Councilor Reyno was president, I was vice president, we had the meeting one week with public comment, and then the next week we had the meeting and we only went over business. We had no public comment at all, just so we can have one night of just voting on everything and one night that was just public comment.
I just want to raise something that's sort of raised perennially, that the disconnect between the public comment and the counselors, that the counselors can't respond to the public comment, which is frustrating for both sides. I don't know what would happen if you.
It's not questions and answers, it's comment, and that's the difference. It's not a public hearing. It is public. You're listening, but we're not responding in that way. It's been that way forever in most municipalities.
300 years.
Yes, from the beginning.
I think it's.
I mean, that's how it works. And
Because the counselors can interact with the public at any time, in any manner.
we would be there for 3 days.
Yes, we can email, we can talk on the phone.
But I'm just saying, that's the reason for it. It's the same thing, because it would open if 13 of us all had to have some sarcastic remark to someone that made a comment we didn't like, we'd be there all night.
Right.
Right.
And there are counselors that would thrive on that, where we could go back.
Go back, oh, yeah.
Remember the lady that sang to us?
Oh, yeah.
She
Yes.
still comes into the offices.
That was public comment was at the end. She stayed and sang.
And so, yeah.
She sings?
Buses.
A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, Marianne. You can sign up and share
so much. You got all the knowledge you needed?